From the people you've faced in Asia Basket so far, the other teams, who's the biggest trash talker?
I heard a lot in the games of you when a game against UE.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Navs Effect podcast. I'm your host, Naveen Ganglani. I'm excited for today's episode. So excited I brought a ball with me because we're going to be talking hoops with one of the up and coming young prospects here in the Philippines, Kymani Ladi of the Ateneo Blue Eagles, who has been very impressive so far in the off season, entering his first and only UAP campaign this year. He'll be talking to us about what to expect and what's his mindset as he enters his one and done campaign with the Blue Eagles. So I'm excited to have Kimani on. Kimani, thanks for spending a part of your off day here with me. I know that off days come rare when you're training and practicing for Coach Tab Baldwin team. I think you guys have practice later actually, but you're getting some time off your studies and whatnot. How's it going, man? How are you adjusting? Do you actually even get off days as Coach Tab on a 7 times a week training regimen as you guys get closer to the UAP season?
Yeah, I mean, especially for right now, we're working on finals, so he's trying to give us some time, for our studies, and especially now that we don't really have any upcoming games, well, up until probably about June, but yeah, right now he's just kind of giving us some time to make sure our classes are together, and but as far as like when regular training is, yeah, he gives us off days, but. He's not afraid to give us that work, and then we're ready for it.
What's the academics like for you? I know you're relatively new, maybe about a year or so into the Ateneo collegiate system. How is it different from the other academic systems you've been in? I mean, what makes it so difficult? Because we've heard a lot of stories about how in Ateneo you need to really take your academics seriously because it's difficult, and if you don't get the minimum grade requirement, you can't get to play.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of tough for me because when I transferred to Ateneo, none of my credits from my junior college actually was accredited, so I had to
Mm.
basically start from ground zero. So I'm technically a freshman. I'm a 24-year-old freshman right now. So, but I mean, it's still good though, because I mean, they're just teaching you to not just rely on, athletics all the time. So, I mean, it just kind of builds your character also.
Your classmates are mostly like what, 17, 18-year-old
17, 18,
freshmen.
so yeah,
So you're
all
like the
incoming.
kuya of every class.
Yeah.
You're like the. Are you trying to pass down knowledge? What's your
No.
vibe with that?
Well, I mean, no. It's like it's funny because not am I just like the oldest. I'm also like the tallest in there. So I'm like all the eyes are just always on me at some
Oh
point
yeah,
whenever
you walk in class, everyone's looking at you, right?
yeah, even like yeah, it's funny too because I'm always like trying to get into a desk and it's kind of a little bit smaller, so it's like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, they just see me every
extra large,
time.
please, extra large desk. Does
Yeah,
that
yeah.
ever get normal though? I mean, you're tall, you're most of your life, you're playing basketball, so you're well known, you're in varsity. Does it ever get normal where when you walk into a room and everyone's just looking at you and everyone's just staring at you or like
Yeah, I mean,
people are thinking about you. Does that ever get normal or is it just always weird?
yeah, no, I think it's it's actually starting to get a little more normal. Like when I first actually realized that I was tall, it was like I was just like, oh wow. Because the background, like when you're actually growing, it doesn't really seem like it. At least for me, it didn't. Like when I was growing, I just didn't really notice it until someone was like, "Oh yeah, you're tall." I was like, "Oh damn, you're right." Like yeah,
You guys got like tall people problems, especially in the Philippines. A lot of times you gotta put your head down. You might hit a wall or a ceiling or something.
yeah,
Like you said, the classroom getting to the desk, I can imagine that being a challenge because of how, you gotta navigate your legs in there. Or even like
yeah,
getting in cars. Like sometimes like yesterday actually, I hit my knee on my car as I was entering. It hurts so much, when you hit your knee in something and there's just that 5 or 7 minutes of agony. So then I
yes.
immediately thought about how a lot of the guys I interview, you basketball players, this must be like little things every day that you just go through as tall guys. What are some of the other examples of that?
Another example is probably, like when I'm either going to practice or leaving from practice, because I usually ride with, Sean or Drew, and I'm usually in the back seat. So it's like, so it's like not like the best like seat I can really get. But and it's funny, I always got to just cramp in there, especially if it's like, we're dropping off some of my other teammates on campus. We all got to like pack in there, like, and so we're all like this, like shoulder to shoulder. It's funny, but those are like cool memories that I can always think back on, especially after I leave the season.
So you ever tell Sean or Drew like, "Hey guys, you want to push your seat a little forward? Give us some space over here," because they got long legs too, right?
Well, you got to take in mind too. Drew's also tall, also, and then well, they're actually both pretty tall. They're like like above 6'3". So it's like, man, like how much room can they really get?
So, in Asia Basket, you guys only lost twice, both times to DLSU, which, to
Yeah.
be fair, they were a finals team last year, even if they have a lot of new guys on the roster, and they're expected to be a title contender. Well, you guys, Ateneo, currently more in a rebuild kind of stage, right, after the way last season went. But you guys played them tight the first time, and then the finals. You guys, I thought you guys just had a terrible start. Honestly, I felt you guys played really decent second quarter onwards. You almost played them to a standstill, but because they were just on fire in the start, and you guys kind of were maybe like a half step slow, that ended up being too big a lead to overcome.
Yeah.
So overall, I still thought you guys were impressive. I mean, making the finals, obviously, I'm sure you guys wanted to put on a show for your home crowd. Great concept, by the way, Asia Basket. I was really
Hmm.
impressed by the win against San Beda because it felt like they could have closed that out. But you guys, led by Sean, I thought Sean in particular played really well. And then you
Yeah.
had that big jumper in OT. You guys like took the victory away from San Beda. You took the win
Yeah.
instead of the win just being handed to you guys, which I thought was very impressive.
Hmm.
But what was the Asia Basket experience like overall, and how much did it sting you, when you guys lost that final against DLSU? Because you look like, I know you're a competitor, you look like you were, kind of pissed off about not coming out of the winning side of that game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, for one, I think just me in general, like I don't know if you could tell, but even on the court, like I was trying to get any point up until that buzzer was
I
out.
remember.
Like I was gonna scrap anything I can get up and just so I can just close the gap just a little bit. Because that's just how I play. Like especially when it's a team like De La Salle, which they're a really good team, and those type of games actually just makes me want to like play even harder and harder. And I think we definitely have the ability to play at their level, if not even get a win out of them. But that's a tough team. But I think it's definitely a lesson we learned, especially since that's the only team that we lost to in the tournament. So I think we just got to just take what we had learned, and we still have some time. It's still early, but at the same time, it's also not an excuse. So we're just gonna keep working.
The heart of basketball for me is competition. I mean, ultimately, beyond let's face it, the money and the perks of basketball, the lifestyle, the clothes, the shoes, getting to go to the dinners afterwards, all the extracurriculars, right, of the game and the culture. At the heart of hoops is competition on the court. So would you agree that determination is more important than talent when it comes to picking the right players to go to war with?
Definitely, I think that's if you don't have that, you're not gonna have anything to really fight with. Like I think especially coming from Ateneo season last, what is it, 87? Season 87. I think they all have like this mindset of like not repeating the same thing. And even me when I was watching those games, I don't want to repeat of that either. And it's that just gave us like a lot of motivation, especially coming into Asia Basket. Every game that we played, we wanted to win. Even the ones that we were down, we just I don't know, we created a mindset that we just can't stop until the buzzer's gone.
Would you agree that there's a difference between players who love to win from players who hate to lose? I was thinking about that yesterday, how
Mm.
there's a difference between a guy who loves to win, or a guy or a girl who loves to win, from a guy or a girl who hates to lose. Because let me explain my mindset. When you love to win, obviously you enjoy the process of winning, but you enjoy the celebrating too of winning, right? But when you hate to lose, it's almost like you think winning is supposed to be normal for you. Where if you're
Yeah.
not winning, it's not normal and you're like in misery. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think like you pretty much, if you're just focused on winning, you're kind of almost dismissing the fact that loss isn't really like inevitable. Like it is. Like you can, there's always a chance that someone can, just take it from you. So I think, yeah, especially coming from my end. I remember junior college, um, my last season of junior college, we had like a very bad record. Like it wasn't so well compared to my first year, and like this was supposed to be a team that like we recruited so many. Like we had some players come from Australia, we had players come from all around the states, and this was like a supposed to be a better recruitment. So when we didn't do so well, I was like, wow. I was like, I never really realized how I hated losing. Like, like, especially like the way I compete. Like, I just, yeah, like I hate losing. I
You know,
hate
when you
it.
hate losing, it goes beyond what you're just doing at the moment, right? It also goes to when you're playing 2K. You know, sometimes maybe when you're in separate cars with your friends and you're trying to get somewhere, maybe speed that car up a little bit. It's almost like you need to compete with everything because you just hate the thought that you could lose at something. And
Yeah.
at the heart of competitors, that's what it's all about. But of course, team building is important too when you want to get this ball in the hoop, right?
Yeah.
What I like about the Ateneo team you guys played with Asia Basket was that it seemed like there was that energy of you guys really like each other. And I'm sure you know this, when you guys like each other off the court, it's easier to find success on the court.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like a lot of us are actually really close. Like we're always joking around. We're always like doing stuff together. And, you know, I think there's still like a lot of we can work on as far as like, learning more about each other's abilities. But I think that'll just come eventually. And I'm not really worried because we're starting to learn each other at this time. And it's, there's certain points in the game where it shows. Like, there's maybe some times where Sean White would just be able to drive in and he already see me, or like, I'll find Jared would come and find me coming off of like a screen. So like we're all still learning each other's like abilities right now, which I love that process because we're all cool. So
But you're also learning about each other off the court because that translates to the desire to learn more about on-court tendencies, right? Like, I don't know about you, but when it comes to work or people I work with every day, I try to understand their personality, who they are, because then
mm,
that helps me understand why they do what they do in work. And I'm sure it's similar with basketball, where not all basketball players process or think things the same. Each guy, each girl has their own way of, reading or interpreting the game or going about it. And when you get to know more about your peers as human beings beyond just the game, beyond the court, you have a better understanding of why they are the players that they are. So with that in mind, have there been things you've learned about your teammates like Drew, like Sean, like Jared, like the other guys, off the court that just help you understand their personalities better?
oh yeah, well we're always talking like especially after practice and stuff, and even we have our own little group chats, of course. But even besides the group chats, like when you're just talking to each other, and when it's just like one on one, and actually like learning about like like their past, their upbringings, it just kind of brings like that kind of like a sense of trust almost that you're like building already. That's like the first connection that you really build before you actually are together on the court, which like you said is very important. Like it really is.
I had Sean Kitavis one time, and I'm sure you know Sean, who was with
Yeah.
Ateneo as a captain last year. And I asked him, so who from Ateneo is the most Riz? And he said Drew Bongo. So have you learned whether or not Drew Bongo is actually smooth with the words and knows how to charm his way through things?
Hey, that's what Sean says. Hey, That's what I think. So. I think so. He's like the unspoken risk. Like he won't have to say much, and he'll still just be like that.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who just has to show up and it's like automatic, right? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's go back to your recruitment process because I had the chance to have lunch with you a few days ago with a common friend. Got to know you a little bit before this podcast, and I was really surprised to hear that it came down to UP or Ateneo for you, which now that I think about it, could end up being one of those sliding doors moments depending on how the season goes.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm not trying to like, hype you up way too much because I know you also have a learning curve when it comes to Philippine basketball. But so far, what we've seen from you, we see the talent, we see the potential. And it makes me think, a sliding doors moment like you deciding to go to UP instead suddenly makes the reigning champions a whole lot more formidable now that they've lost Francis Lopez if you had chosen to go there. But now, since you decide to go to Ateneo, where Mason Amos leaves and you kind of slot in that position and take the minutes and the role, suddenly Ateneo looks like a possible Final Four team again with your help and the help of your teammates. So take us through your recruitment process. How did you land with Ateneo and who else did you speak to or consider?
Well, before I actually started my junior college season, I was already talking to schools like UP and Ateneo, but I don't think I was really interested like that at the time. I think I was more trying to see what can I pick up from junior college because my junior college that I went to, he knows my coach knows a lot of schools in the area, and even D2, D3s, D1. Like I had a player that played a season in junior college before me. He went to South Carolina. So it was like I was trying to see what other routes I can get other than, just going straight to the Philippines. And at the time, I feel like I wasn't even really ready. I wasn't really as much, like a polished player as I was prior coming here, which was I think it was a good idea for me to stay in junior college because it taught me a lot. And that junior college I went to was this it was a really good one. They taught me all the right stuff. That's why when I came here, it's almost like, I knew the small little details and I didn't really have to like learn so much. Yeah, so before junior college, I was recruited by Ateneo UP. I played 2 years in junior college. And after my junior college season, it was now like, all right, what do I do? So I can go, the D2, D3 route or, and come out here to the Philippines. And mind you, I didn't know much about the Philippines or let alone like what UAAP was. And I didn't think it was not that I didn't think, I just didn't know what the level was like, coming out here. So after my junior college season, I did like a game almost where Tab and one of the other coaching staff from Ateneo came and watched me play. And like right away, it was like Tab already liked me. Like from the jump, he was just saying like how when I was coming in, he could tell that I was very vocal. I was have like leadership qualities that could definitely help out the team. I'm like yeah, let me check y'all out. You know what I mean? So we ended up coming out here with my other coaches, and once I saw the team, saw the school, I was like, this is like it's nothing I've really experienced before. When I first came in here, all the players like Sean Katevis and Sean Drew, they were all like welcoming. It was just like it was like I was already part of the team before I really was. So after that little introduction, I was like, you know what, I'm ready to come here. Like this probably this place I really need to be.
Did you do a UP campus visit as well, training with the team as well?
No, I didn't. They actually had visited my last junior college game. Some of the staff saw my last junior college game, but I didn't get to visit UP just yet.
Did you consider like LaSalle or UST as well?
Yeah, definitely was. I would have liked LaSalle too, but I think I'm glad I chose that Ateneo. I think made the right decision, especially with the rebuild that they're trying to do. I just felt like it was just a good fit for me, especially when it came to academics, because it's I heard it was a very prestigious school as far as academics. So a lot of my parents like that also.
Yeah, I see. No, that's good. And you were telling me about how much you love the campus as well.
Yeah, it's I love the campus. You can just walk around and just like get a fresh breath of air, some trees. When I was walking through some of the campuses around like De La Salle or even like UE, I was just like, wow, where's all the green at? Like it's just buildings around. Like at least I can go around Ateneo and just like walk and or even go like on the E Jeep and then just look at stuff. Yeah, I'm actually really glad I chose Ateneo. Yeah, it's one of the best decisions I probably made.
You planning to stay and finish your education after your one and done season?
It depends. It depends. I have to see what my options are because I you gotta think I've already pretty much did 3 years of junior college already. I don't know if I
Right,
want to do
right.
another 4 or 5 years in school again.
So let's talk about the pro prospects then, because we were discussing about how, ideally you'd love the chance to potentially play in Korea or Japan. However, the rules are quite strict for foreigners,
Mhm.
particularly in Korea, where if you want to play as an Asian quota guy, you need to be born to both Filipino parents. In Japan, they consider you a local if you're a FIBA local. Otherwise, you'd have to get a world import spot, which the competition is much more immense. Would I take it then that you are open to the PBA, or is there anything else you're eyeing?
Definitely, I'm open to PB. I think that's one of the main reasons why I really came out here. I thought the PBA was, you know, one of the only options I actually. So, but I didn't really know much about, Japan, Korea. I didn't think that far up until, recently. But yeah, for sure, PBA. I think there's a lot of good players in the PBA, and I think that it's a high level that I can definitely compete at for sure.
Who's your GOAT?
Oh,
Is it the
I want
guy
to say
behind me right here?
it's either Jordan or KD. The only reason why it's KD is because he's just like a freak of nature at like he's just a generational talent. But the same driving, determination from Jordan is like I can relate to. Like he's just not gonna stop until, he gets what he wants.
I thought you were gonna say Steph because you're from the Bay.
Steph is a great shooter, but that's not my goal. That's not my goal. Steph is a great
Man,
player. That's my guy, but
so I like how you said that you try to, well, rather you resonate with MJ's competitive fire and spirit. Give me the most random thing you're competitive about. Like it could be like, for example, we once heard a story about how Michael Jordan could be competitive about finishing your water when he's out to dinner with friends at the restaurant. I don't think you're in a rush to finish your water with your friends, but there must be some random little quirk or thing that you're like low key competitive about.
games, like video games for sure. If and especially if it's, I'm playing against, one of my teammates or some and then they're also talking like, so it's like, oh yeah, now I have to really beat you.
Yeah, you're not a trash talk starter, but if someone starts it with you, you're gonna be like, oh, okay, okay, I'm
Yeah, yeah,
in.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yo, so from the people you've faced in Asia Basket so far, the other teams, who's the biggest trash talker so far?
Actually, I heard a lot in the games of when a game against UE, what's his name? Evan Fikes.
Devin Fikes?
Devin Fikes, yeah, yeah, yeah. We were going back and forth during that game. But it's funny because like I don't take it personal. So it's more of like when we're going back and forth, it kind of just like brought me back home. Cause like back home, that's what they do. Like yeah, when we go to the park, that's all you hear. You hear like all the older people talking on the side. You hear the dude guarding you talking. Like it just kind of just brought me back home. That's what I loved about the game too. But I noticed that, out here it's not really the same. In the Philippines, you're not trash talking is not really used a lot in a sense.
Right, right. It's almost like a mental trick people try to use rather than being a
Yeah.
regular part of the game, which, because
Yeah.
here it's a lot more physical. They're not gonna talk to you as much
Yeah.
as they're gonna try to hit you with elbows and shoves and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's part of the game. All right, let me ask you three questions based on your time playing Philippine collegiate basketball. from all teams, so guys from your team or guys from other teams, who's number one, just the straight up hooper that you know. And when I talk hooper, guy who can get buckets that you've seen so far. Like the number one guy you think who can just get buckets in college ball. Number two, who do you think is the feistiest defender that you've played against so far in college ball? And number three, if you could pick one teammate to have in Ateneo who's not in Ateneo right now, who would it be?
First one, the best hooper that I've played so far. Honestly, I think like a pretty good hooper that I played against right now is probably Phillips. He probably gives me like that's like the most competitiveness I've actually like played with because he's like physical. He'll go after boards, and it's like a challenge because we're kind of like this. We're on the same same size range, so it's like it kind of gives me a glimpse of like what I'll be seeing, once
In
I
the
go.
UAP.
Exactly. Let's see, feistiest defender. I think for me, it's probably Ian Espinoza. He's like a very quick and
Feisty
just
guard.
annoying. Like he'll just like really like he's so low to the ground that it's annoying. It's like it's
You just swipe that ball a few times, right? He's gonna get
yes.
something.
Even when he has the ball too, like it's just like yes. But yeah, every time in practice, he's always going hard on defense. One player that I wanted to play with was Kai Balungai because I there was like, oh yeah, like you're the next you're Kai 2.0. Like so and like it's funny because he's also from California also, so like
Mm.
everyone's always comparing us both. I mean, of course, two Kais, you know what I mean? So and then and we always saying that we play similar in a sense. So I'm like. I wonder if like we actually played together. That actually would have been pretty cool.
That's true. Some people, I mean, you guys also have similar names, right? Kymani, Kai. I mean, you're kind of like a Kai as well. I think you guys wear the same jersey number two, right? You guys are both number one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's just funny how that works out. But Kai, listen, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Let's end this podcast with me asking you a question of what's your why? What drives you, what motivates you? What's your why that gets you up and going every day?
My why is just to become the person that my family sees me to be. Like I know that I'm not perfect. That I'm always gonna have some flaws, but I also want them to see that I can be great, especially with with the route that I'm taking. Being away from home, and I just want to show them that I'm able to be a good person, and actually feel what I want in life. So I think just my family, of course, and my friends, and everyone back home is my why.
That's great. Kymani Ladi, everyone, we're so excited to watch you this UAP season and what you have in store for the years beyond. Thanks for joining me today. Best of luck and can't wait to see you again on the court, buddy.
Yeah, thank you for having me on here.
Thanks everyone who listened. Don't forget to leave a rating or a follow on whatever platform you're listening to or watching this podcast, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. Thank you, everyone. God bless.